Thank you for the kittens. That did a trick. Computers are funny animals. And screen resolutions and aspect ratios are not. And good day, Thomas, and thank you for your patience. And so you're gonna leave for dinner? Is that what I'm hearing? In about 10 minutes. Okay, well. Anyway, I'm gonna go flying because I need to relieve all that stress that I got from that mess. Very silly thing, though. It's just 1 pixel in my screen setup was different from what the Streamlabs OBS thing was picking up, which made the whole thing completely weird. Anyways, so how was your flight up to Astoria? Without much of anything of instrumentation, I guess. I'm still at Lone Pine. Oh, good. No ground loop? You can of course say no, because we weren't there to see. Just about, well. Good. I'm gonna show you here. So, I'm not sure if this is actually monkeys. Well, Thomas supplied me with a couple of kittens to sacrifice to the dog gods to make this stream work. So now I finally made it work after half an hour of messing around with resolutions. Yeah, nice. 5 hours in the air. SAVVNI. Very nice. SAV, what is that? Where is that? Savannah. Where the hell is that? And how? 5 hours away from Van Nuys. Even in a beaver, that is pretty far away. All right. So we're not talking beaver time here. 5 hours is some jet monstrosity. I get it. Ooh, nice. Okay. I heard people talk about this Gulfstream. Anyways, what I'm seeing here is that I have, it's probably not very visible for you. I'm gonna try something here. It's probably a bit sealed. No, I cannot change that while in the sim. Anyway, what I'm seeing here is that the cylinders are a bit down. Show some wearing. It's not bad enough to be able to fix it, but I've tried in both X-Plane 11 and 12 to fire up an engine that doesn't have these worn cylinders, and it seems to be able to produce more power. So I think that's why. I'm going to try for the big altitude airport, but I'm going to be more of a straight shot up towards Painfield so I can fix that. So that's the plan. I'm going to stick with what I have, as you are doing also, Thomas. You're much worse than I am, though, because your plane is basically a muddy, horrific mess after that little water landing of yours. Anyways, I'm still in Explain 11 because I cannot get my fancy schmancy GPSs to work. So until that's fixed, I think I have to stay here because, well, actually, I can fly other planes that don't have the GPS, but that's just how it is. Fuel. Oh, check fuel first. Yeah, I have enough fuel to get up to Mammoth. So that's the plan for today. I'm going to head up to Mammoth Yosemite. Yeah, you mean the stock GPSs? Yeah, I could actually do that, but they are pretty bad. I mean, there's a reason why people pay for these reality expansion packs. What is RXP? It's reality XP. I guess that's what it says. What it stands for. They are really, really good. And the Explain ones are pretty bare bones. But I could, indeed I could. And they work. I can drag the windows down into my GPSs here and use the real SimGear units to handle them. Feels not that good though, but then again, maybe I'll live with it. No water in the fuel. I'll see if I can survive with these tires all the way up to Painfield. Now, having said that, of course, that's going to make me blow a tire on my way up. Could be worse. I could blow a tire on, like I did when I came back from Oshkosh with the Beaver this summer. I landed at, no, it was on my way to Oshkosh, I think. Actually, I don't remember. No, I think it was on my way back. I landed at Denver International and blew a tire on the runway. And just barely managed to scrape the plane off the runway. And I used the tow tug on the Beaver to tow it to the to the FBO. That was a long trip. Very long trip. RSG versions. Yeah, Thomas, if I blow a tire, I have a couple of spares in the plane, so I need to blow another set if I need rescuing. I always carry a couple of main wheels in the plane because of experience. And oh, by the way, I tried loading up the Beaver here in Explain 12, and while Explain 12 is gorgeous, these mountains look nothing like this in Explain 12, without ortho, that is. So I wonder if I get ortho installed and this beautiful at G airport, then I might be talking. But, well, yeah. Alrighty. Let me get out of your face like this. But David, RSG versions. Are you talking real SimGear versions? And what does that mean? Because do they have separate GPS systems? In that case, I'm interested. Let's see here. Thus ready. Mouser, beacon, and I can take center tank. Nice. Okay, it's 15 degrees or so. So I'm going to take and let's see this. Now I took at least 5 and maybe 6 squirts of prime here. And let's see if I can start this plane on the prime alone. So I'm going to leave the mixture until the engine starts firing properly. So, fire in the hole. Starter first. Ignition. Now it fires. This is just prime. You heard it kind of stop firing. That was because I was running out of prime. And then I put the mixture in, and then it had the RPM enough to draw fuel into the engine. Wait a few moments to let the RPM get up before I start putting on any draw on the engine. So, for those who are watching, very simple plan. Lone Pine Airport, follow the valley between the mountains here up to Big Pine, just south of Bishop. And then if the engine is behaving reasonably well, I'll pull the plane up into the mountains and land at Coyote Flats Airport, which is an unmarked airport up here at almost 10,000 feet, and then continue up to Mammoth Yosemite. Now, I've said this a couple of times on stream, because I've tried this at least 2 times, maybe 3 times before. So, your guess is as good as mine. And happy meal, Thomas, and enjoy it, and bring a barf bag for my landings in the mountains, if you are back in time. It'll be half an hour or so before I'm up there, I think, maybe more. See, the engine is not happy. Fire up 4 flights. Bring up the maps. So I can see where I'm going. Because I have no idea where I'm going. And we'll log into PilotEdge as well. Indeed, connected to PilotEdge. Okay, now the engine is starting to come up. Very good. Let's see here. Do I have any indication of wind here? I'm looking at a flag. It's kind of difficult to see. It looks like it's blowing towards me, so I might actually have wind from the southeast again, like I had last time. which case I could use the same runway, but I kind of want to take the big one, so I'm going to go out to that one. Let's just make sure everything is as supposed to be here. Okay, good. Okay, engine is coming up. Put some draw on it, alternator and avionics, more lights, close up the window. Okay, I can do some of the pre-flight here. So that comes up, this one goes down, that goes up, that comes down, elevator up, down, and I will take the rudder when I get to the runway and doing the run-up. CTAF 1 to 2.8 is set. What is the next CTAF I need? Might as well put Bishop in 123.0. Well, it's already there. Very good. And the Yosemite is 1 to 2.8. So actually I'm good. I'm monitoring. No, not yet. I haven't turned on my radio. Now I'm monitoring guard. Be interesting to see if I'm able to make this plane do anything worth doing, basically, since the engine is starting to be worn out. I'm gonna aim for runway 16 for departure. Basically into the wind if it comes from that direction. Not quite, but close enough. Set the HSI. Altitude 3,710. So that gives me pressure of 3002. Let me just check the closest airport, which is... Well, Bishop is pretty far away, but it is 3000, so that's close enough. It means it checks out. Okay, I have a few gallons in the tip tanks, kind of safety fuel, a full rear tank, almost full center tank, half front tank. So I have plenty of fuel to get up to Mammoth. And the weather up there is pretty nice. It's calm at Bishop, clear skies, reasonably normally cold, 12-14 degrees. The same at Mammoth. Slightly higher pressure, and lights go out there. However, the wind at Mammoth is 270 and 14 gusting 20, so that's gonna be fun. The runway, however, is lined up perfectly 270, so if it stays that direction, I'm all fine. Let's get going. Plane seems unwilling to taxi here. Is it the wind or is it the engine? The engine is producing the RPM that I expect from for almost a takeoff here. So anyway,
approaching runway 1331.
Yeah, that's the this one. This
Entered runway 1331.
the one I landed at when I got here. I'm not going to use this today. Lone Pine traffic, Beaver 524 Alpha taxiing runway 16, Lone Pine. very interesting airport in that this long stretch here is a taxiway out to the runway. Usually the ramp and the runway and or taxiways are very close. It's almost like they kind of shoving the runway out into the boonies for some reason. Might be just a coincidence, but just unusual airport design. See if I can do this without ground looping as I'm taxiing. And it's dusty even at the paved surface here. So here we're coming up on the taxiway. See the windsock is pointing to the north, so I'm going to turn to the left. Because this is more or less midfield, and learned at Tunnel Meadows a week ago or so that using the runway, the whole runway, and nothing but the runway. No, well, actually, nothing but the runway is probably not correct, because I used the runway and everything else to get that plane off of the ground, including bushes. So, but anyway, I learned that leaving runway behind me is not very good, especially at the density altitude situation like that. More things to be said about that departure, by the way. It's not just the engine performance. There were other considerations, like mixture settings and fuel flows and engine performance in general, and flap settings, and
Approaching runway 16.
also wind. I actually had tailwind up there, so there are many things to contend with there, and I very much intend to make a debriefing on that, because there's much to learn. Let's see if I can try to enforce some of the things I learned. Lone Pine traffic, Beaver flight for Alpha holding short runway 16. Lone Pine. Right, so I did the control surfaces except the rudder, which I will do now once I get the engine up running. So let's see what the propeller does now. Normally it would go all the way down to 1000 RPM. It doesn't do that. I'm not sure why that is. It will actually normally go below 1000. I've checked this with the other more better maintained Beavers. So it doesn't do that. Anyway, let me see if the rudder works. I'm pushing left rudder, which will make the plane lean to the right. It does. And vice versa. It does. Then it returns. Very good. Mags. We're clear. And do I have any carbines? No change. So, well, no manifold pressure increase. So that's good. Setting flaps, and final is clear. And I can see no one in the pattern here, at least. That end of the runway is clear as far as I can see, which just have to be good enough. Cannot see everything. Strobes, landing lights. Lone Pine traffic, Beaver 5 to Alpha taking off, runway 16. Left downwind departure to the north. Lone Pine. Okay. Take a final reality check as far as power once I get onto the runway. So I have slightly more than climb flaps, should be good enough. I'm relatively light. not too high up, and it's a 4,000 feet runway. So what I will do now is that windsock is next to the taxiway. So when I pass the taxiway, I better have passed the red line of the airspeed indicator. I have this weird airspeed indicator where 0 is here, 20 is here, and it's going to quickly increase here to 30, 40, and 50, and I should be airborne around here. But the red line for the high speed is a good place to look. So once I pass that, I'm kind of on my way, basically. I can get it airborne at that point if I really have to. So it's going to be slow to get to 20, but then it's going to increase in speed because the increments are very well spaced here. So by the windsock, I should be passing red line. That's my estimate, at least. I can actually check this because there's a taxiway map on this. Oh, that was a wrong airport I'm looking at. There it is. There is just about 1,000 feet down the runway to the taxiway. Should be plenty. More than plenty. Okay, everything is set here. Lights are on, transponder is on, fuel is on the correct tank, trim is set. Yep, good to go. So let's set the power and see if the engine is where I'm at least some semblance of confidence. Okay, full RPM. I get full RPM, and I get 31 inches of manual pressure, which is not very good, but it's I can work with it. Let's roll. Engine is in the green. Our engine airspeed alive, 20 knots. Engine still in the green. Tail coming up. Passing red line, and here's the windsock. Airborne. So we can take the power back a little bit here. Okay, that seemed to work. Pull up a little bit of flap. Try to remember to use that angle of attack meter I have hidden above the whiskey compass here. Try to fly the blue circle. Lone Pine traffic, Beaver 5 to 4 Alpha, turning left crosswind runway 16, Lone Pine. So here's the thing, I don't expect the engine to die. It's just not producing the amount of power that I would like it to do. So it's not like I'm worried that it will stop. But even having said that, kind of, you know, that experience in the mountains where the engine didn't perform properly, it doesn't, I don't like it. Lone Pine traffic, Beaver 5 to 4 Alpha, left downwind runway 16, Lone Pine. So here we have the wonder that is Lone Pine Airport. This is the runway that I landed at. I think it's runway 13 and tree 1, I guess, and 1634. Behind me here is basically Death Valley. This is kind of the north end of Death Valley as far as I understand it. So this airport is called Lone Pine Death Valley. Okay, let's clean up the plane and take it to a reasonable cruise setting. So, to my left here, this is the town of Lone Pine, this little square-ish little thing. And that makes me wonder, what is this? Is this a gated community or something? Is it just some weirdos who don't want to live in town? Not that I blame them. Who would want to live in a bustling metropolis like this? Bring up the weather at Bishop, so I have some indication of what's going on ahead of me. Wind is calm, and the pressure dropped 3/100th of an inch, so 299.7. So density altitude is now 1,000 feet above field elevation at Bishop. So if that's the same at Coyote Flats Airport, that means that I have a density altitude of about 11,000 feet. Just above 11,000. Which is perfect. Just right where we need it to be. For an engine that is slightly worn and with a propeller governor that doesn't quite behave like I want it to do. Perfect. So one of the airports that I had planned to visit is across the ridge to my right here. There's an excellent little field chicken strip it's called. It's easily found on the explain.org scenery forum. Freeware airport called Chicken Strip. Very, very cool little thing. Not particularly challenging to land at because there's all kinds of low terrain leading towards the strip, but there's a big mountain on the backside of it. So the go around is not very palatable. It's possible, I think, but it's a good little bush trip. I'm not sure if it's actually yeah, it doesn't show up on ForeFlight with an ICAO code, so that kind of indicates to me that it's not in any way charted, which means that it's not feasible to use in an ABC challenge, because the airports in the ABC challenge needs to have an ICAO code for the system to work. That is actually something I need to ask Thomas about, so I'm going to actually make a note of that. Where is my pencil? There it is. Because he's out eating, so, and he's the creator of my flat route. So I'm gonna make a note to ask him about that. Because if that is, if it's optional, if you can, for example, program that ABC challenge to work with GPS coordinates instead, then we're talking. That's where the the bush challenges really start to take form, because then you can do all the weird ones. For example, I'm quickly approaching the town of Independence. I think there's a town called Independence here. I know the airport is called that. There's a little town up here. I think that's called Independence, which has an airport connected to it. However, on the south side of that, on the VFR chart, is the symbol of a closed airport, which you can see right there. And it's practically invisible, but it is here. You can see the X'd out runways, several of them, taxiways, and old foundations for buildings. Yep, I got a wind gust there that pushed me out of my way. So I'm gonna stop looking at old airfields and concentrate on not dying for a few seconds. That airfield doesn't have an ICAO code, but would be a much more interesting place to land than this kind of regular looking airfield. And of course, Coyote Flats is in California, so for our NorCal. Actually, wait a minute, am I still in NorCal or in SoCal now? I'm almost to the direct east of Fresno, so I guess I'm in NorCal. So southeast NorCal, that's where I am now. And the Coyote Flats Airport, if that was, if the ABC could handle coordinates instead of ICAO codes to recognize the landing at the bush field, that would make Coyote Flats a very viable bush strip for the challenge, which would be very nice, because that's a challenge. The airport itself is not very difficult, you will see later. I feel like pretty confident in getting up there. So the airport itself, not difficult to land or take off from in terms of terrain, but it's very, very high up. So if I'm correct, this is the town of Independence, where there's a little airstrip with what looks like a crossing dirt strip. Not quite fully aligned. Actually, it is. This one is aligned with what's under there, and there's something else here. Maybe an access road or something. Yeah, I prefer my airports with ortho and without the texture like this. Even if the ortho is slightly low res, these textures are just so glaring. But I think I heard someone talk about that X-Plane 12 would actually make the airport textures blend better with whatever is around them, which would be very nice. Okay, so let's see here. Engine temps are just barely on the slightly hot side. And, well, it's pretty cold out, so does that mean that the engine is hotter than it's supposed to be? Or is it just because I'm running lean? So that might be one part. Difficult to say. Anyway, these little hills in front of me here are close to a town called Aberdeen. Not to be confused with Scotland, of course. There should be some lava fields in the area here. I think it's these ones, actually. With darker shades here. And there should be a reservoir. That could be it. Yeah, I think that's it, because there's also beam the reservoir. There's what looks like a hill with where there's a microwave station, which probably is on top of the big one. We'll see when we get there. After that, it's just a couple of miles up the valley, and we'll come to Big Pine, the town of Big Pine, where I will be turning up into the mountain. So my goal is up here, way up there. Might as well just keep the climb going, because I'm headed for a pattern altitude of about 11,000 feet, so might as well make use of the time. Joshua Approach is the people who are controlling this area, apparently. Well, at least the MOA. But I'm gonna monitor Oakland Center, which is the controlling agency for Bishop Airport, just up here. At 125.75. 125? 75.
Contact. Climb and maintain 17,000.
Here we have Oakland Center. Let's see what they have to say, if there's any activity going on.
This 123 Golf, Reading ground. There's the Sacramento Capitol Airport, Kendall 4 departure, Red Bluff transition, Victor 23, Sacramento VOR, Sierra Alpha Charlie, and then direct. Climb via SID, accept maintain 7,000. Departure with Oakland Center on 132.2, squawk 6311.
Just this shallow glide, or climb gradient here, like 200 feet per minute. Even at 95 knots, you can see the engine is slightly creeping up. It's a couple of degrees higher oil temp, and the cylinder temp is also slightly higher. I'm kind of
Back 3 Golf Golf, thank you, read back correct.
mildly obsessive by that on that score. Because I know where the engine temps are supposed to be in normal cruise situations. So when they are diverting from that, I'm kind of monitoring that as in case that's a trend. Also because the engine is a bit of a heat sink, so when it starts gobbling up heat, it will take a little bit of time before it actually saturates the engine with heat and showing up on the gauges. But when it does, especially in the oil, when it does show up, it's kind of it's really about time to start doing something about it. If you wait until it reaches red line, then you will do something and it will still kind of rise a bit before it will start getting down. It's like turning around a big ship. You will start doing things, but nothing will happen. So the reservoir should be under my nose now. Let's turn a little bit to see if I can find it. There we have it. So there's a dam. There we have it. The microwave tower is somewhere on top of the hill, perhaps, or one of the closer ones. There's something here. Oh, that's just some rocks. One thing I find is that if I'm looking for a tower or anything like that, there is usually an access road or something. So while that could be it, there are no roads up to it. So it's more likely that the tower is here or on top there, and that there is an access road on the backside. This open area ahead of me, that's where the town of Bishop and the airport that I'm not going to is situated. The first little town that is here is Big Pine, which is my cue to turn left up into the mountains, where you can see I still don't have enough elevation to be properly above the ground. So 2997 is the Bishop altimeter, so I'm going to take that, which make me lose maybe 100 feet, which is good, because then at least I corrected something that will give me a warning that I'm not too low. The reservoir I'm passing over is Tinemaha Reservoir. Okay, 9,500 feet. I want to be at least at 11,000 feet before I start crossing over these mountains. I probably should have more. I mean, the airport is not right here. It's kind of over the hills and kind of down in a slight bowl. So even though it's at 10,000 feet, I have to cross over stuff to get there. Might very well be that I need to be at 12,000 feet to be able to get up there safely. So, I'm gonna keep the climb going. Though there's no big rush, there's also a way of coming from the north side up there. I think that's probably easier in a way, but it's a long way around. This way up here looks more interesting. There's actually a road up here, up the mountains here, that more or less will take me to the airport. It should take me past some buildings in the just on the lower slopes of the mountains, and a lodge much higher up in the mountains. Not expecting to see those, but I'll keep an eye out. Those buildings might be these, actually. Or whatever I'm seeing here. I'm seeing some trees, but it looks like there might be some buildings as well. And the road is going up that valley, so that's where I'm headed. I'm gonna square off that turn, because that will buy me some extra time for the climb. Passing 10,000 feet now. Right, so I'm now at about 16, 17, 18 gallons in front and center tank, and the rear is at 25. So I'm gonna take the fuel from the rear tank now, and I'm gonna set a 15-minute alarm just to remind me to verify that I haven't gobbled up that fuel. I'm at 20 gallons per hour fuel flow now. It could be considerably more when or if I take the RPM up. And get back into auto rich. So I'm gonna expect to use 30 gallons per hour on top here, and that will take out the rear tank pretty fast. So, crossing over Lone Pine. Where is it? There it is. The John Muir Wilderness area, where the tallest peaks are more than 14,000 feet tall. And there's actually one very close to me. I think it's probably either that one or that one. Actually, it might be the one behind, because these look like they're closer. This one looks just like it's barely lower, but it's probably just the parallax. Well, not the parallax, I guess. Well, it might be. 11,000 now, so I should more or less have enough altitude. So let's see, the buildings that are advertised on the chart are somewhere here. Not seen. See what the temps are here. It's actually minus degrees up here. But the dew point spread at Bishop, the airport that is just down here somewhere. I think it's right there. Dew point spread is very, very big, so it means it's very dry. Yeah, the humidity, according to ForFlight, is 13%, so chances of getting carb ice is pretty slim. 11,500 feet. So I should be able to see the airport soon. It's just in this little bowl here somewhere. And just given that I'm able to climb up to this altitude with a couple hundred feet of per minute of climb, even at that low RPM mix, I know that the plane can climb. It's just a matter of getting the right power setting. So it might be actually better for the climb performance at this altitude to have lower RPM, not try to get full RPM for some reason. Doesn't seem quite right, but that's just how it is. Might actually be the airport. That's a little open strip down there. So I'm basically in the clear. See if I can see that lodge that is advertised on the VFR chart here. It should be up on the side of the mountain here. Probably buried in shrubbery here. Yeah, cannot see it. It couldn't possibly be up here, could it? Well, it could possibly, but never mind. 12,000 feet. Well, I'm not going to climb any more than that. Yeah, the engine is starting to saturate with heat. So what I have, good lord, I have 20 knots of headwind. I haven't paid attention to the wind here, which makes my this decision for where I'm going to land very easy. The runway is that direction, yes, so basically straight ahead. So I'm gonna do a low approach and verify that I'm seeing what I'm seeing and that the runway is clear, and do a left pattern inside of the bowl here. It's slightly higher on the left side, but it's farther away, so I have some room to work with. On the right side there's this big thing here, so if I keep it tight I can do it without much ado. I can kind of see some vague outlines of the runway could be there or there. I'm not quite certain. It has been paved at some point back in the day, so it's not completely just dirt, but it's more or less just dirt. So it's kind of a good thing to do with that low approach, because then I can at least have a look. Also, I will be able to see if there's any planes or animals, people,
500.
cars, rocks, bushes. Seems to be plenty. So I don't know where these trees come from though. Can't remember seeing them last time I was here. Okay, what's the wind doing here? Well, it has calmed down sufficiently. Yes, it's just in the middle here. Take some altitude here, but not too much. Don't need too much, and I want to be able to have speed for the turn. So a little bit of flaps to offset that. You hear the plane mushing down when there is no flaps connected there or deployed. So there's my left downwind. Not a very inviting strip, just a bunch of but there's actually people here. Look, there's a party waiting for me here. Very nice. Yeah, the wind died down substantially. It was higher up, that big wind. So now I have maybe 3 knots crossing headwind, so that's perfect. Some more flaps, and just remember to keep the speed up in the turn here. I don't want to spin into the ground here. More flaps, and lots of rudder to keep It's coordinated. Bit more flaps. Should roll out straight onto the strip now. Not quite, actually. It's a bit too early. That's good. I can live with that. Landing flap set, trim set, and should be good to go. Hey, welcome back, Thomas. Here we are. Coyote Flats. Descending through 10,200 feet. I can feel the plane is bushy and heavy, even at 60 knots here. Try to shoot over these bushes here. I've had enough of bushes clinging to my tires. Well, maybe not. There we go. Nope, more bushes. They are pretty... The engine is... well, takeoff will show me how the engine is. As you can see, this airstrip isn't very well maintained. But I was able to climb perfectly fine up here, and the pattern was fine. So let's just see what the engine does now when I'm... Yeah, this is uphill, so... and I have a heck ton of flaps, so... Yeah, I should be able to get off here. But I'm going to take off the other direction because I have a slight headwind. But... I'm first going to crawl my way through the bushes here and go visit my friends who are up here. There's a fly-in up here, apparently. As is, of course, expected. Have a look at that. There's Beaver. And others. Okay, I'll let the engine cool down a little bit while I'm having a look around. Look at this beautiful place. We have a beaver and viper cub. Are they carrying tools? Something is wrong. Well, there's always a guy on his phone. Cub and a cub. Very nice. This is where it's happening, apparently. It's kind of weird. Did I miss anything? Why are there no dead bodies up here? Maybe they're hiding the tents. Anyways, so this is David, your bird was scared by my coffee, even though I leaned away. So you've got a jumpy bird. Just trying to find a nice place for a shot here. Anyway, so this is, you can probably see here vague outlines of some very old kind of covered paving. Actually, it's probably I seem to remember that there was a part of it you could see more easily. But I think it was paved at some point a long time ago. Like 50 years ago. That's my fuel reminder. So, anyway, my altimeter is just a shade over 10,000 feet. So it depends a little bit of where on the runway that I am sitting at. But it is actually, you know, more or less 10,000 feet. But I'm a little bit higher up right now, though, than the actual runway. Anyway, I'm going to back taxi and see how this goes. So here's the deal. I'm going to do this first. I'm going to take... So I'm going to use the part of the runway that you actually use. Well, I can actually use this segment here with these small bushes. Try to aim my way in the center here. And I have to be up by the road here because otherwise I'll start hitting bumps. And I'm finished with that. I've had enough. And it's very obvious that there is no left pattern once I'm departing here. I did the left pattern for landing because I was already at altitude. But for departure, I'm going to go down there. It's going to be downhill all the way. Down that way. If I turn around, I have to go up. So it's very beneficial for me to go slightly to my right. So, I mean, nothing can go wrong, can it? We'll be perfectly fine. Trust me, I know what I'm doing. I've been here before. And then I'm gonna head up to Mammoth, where the wind was horrific. And it's still horrific. 17, gusting 25. Lovely. Lovely. These bushes are really dry, so they're kind of the type that kind of just cracks and goes to dust once you drive over them. So they don't gather around the landing gear like the more lush bushes that I plowed through a couple of days ago. So they're not gonna gather as extra weight on the plane. Is this the correct place? Am I turning around at the right spot here? I think I have to be a little bit more up here. So what I'm going to do is I'm gonna actually use less than full RPM. I have a feeling that that's going to give me more power. Yeah, here we have it. You can see down the pike of the runway. Right here. I think I'm gonna shoot out my drone to have a look. Yeah, there we have it. I'm slightly off, but kind of a more direct entrance into the runway. What I learned also from the departure at Tunnel Meadows was that full rich don't give me any more power. But trying to get full RPM doesn't lend me much. And not too much flaps, because it's going to give me drag. So let's see how the engine behaves now. So I'm going to try 150 RPM, something like that. So if I put it to full ridge, it gives me more fuel flow, but I can hear the engine bogging down. So I don't want that. Right, so straight ahead, slight right. And I'm basically committed to the takeoff by the time I reach the bushes there. So I want to see at least 25 knots. So when the airspeed indicator is pointing towards that little light fixture there, I want to see. I want to be. That's when I'm kind of inside the main part of the runway there. So engine is in green. Power is set for all it's worth. The airspeed is creeping up, passing 20 knots. 25, 30, 35. And come on, tail up. 50. Screaming through the bushes here. And here we go. Passing over the road. I'm climbing. Gonna take out a little bit of the flaps. Disregard the trees, by the way. They are not supposed to be there. Take out some RPM here so I don't start a meltdown of the engine. So at this point, I think even if I lost the engine now, I could glide down to Bishop Airport, which is down the valley here somewhere. So this is the kind of the easier approach to come up this way. But then you have to go around the mountain here. Well, I can tell you that my heart rate is slightly elevated. Not very much, not like when I departed from Tunnel Meadows, but it is a bit frightening with these high altitude takeoffs. So, what we have down here is the town of Bishop. I just saw a beacon here. There we have it. So that's Bishop Airport. All kinds of runways. Okay, I'm gonna clean up the flaps. Plane starts mushing, but at least I will start picking up more speed. That lovely cruise setting. 1600 RPM or so, 26 inches. So how about that? I survived. So now I'm about 30 miles, 35 miles out from Mammoth Yosemite, which is apparently very changing. The weather is updating all the time here. As of 13 minutes ago, the wind was 250 at 10, gusting 19er. So it's kind of shifting around a little bit, 30, 40 degrees. Visibility 10, clear below 12. Well, yeah, 12, that's 12 above field elevation, so that's in the flight levels. The airport is at 7,135 feet, so that means it's clear below 19,000 something. Temperature dew point minus 20. So the humidity is basically 0, or it's 8%. Altimeter 3006. There we have it, 3006. CTAF 1 to 2.8 is set. Just check in on center here to see if I can hear anything. I listened to did I say Oakland Center? Yeah, Oakland Center.
1399 Denver Tower, wind variable at 4, runway 16 left, clear to land.
Well, Denver Tower, Oakland Center, well.
Number 841 under 5, verify, runway 30.
30. Hello, VFox. Indeed, reality expression pack for DHC-2 Beaver. And David here, Dasudea, in chat, can tell you all about that, because he's, I would say, an unofficial beta tester of the expansion pack. At least a very eager beaver. He's been doing a lot of testing. I have a difficult time firing up Explain 12 because I'm so scared it will drag me in before I'm ready. But I did some testing of it yesterday actually. Fully updated the Beaver in Explain 12 and did some test flying to check that everything works. Basically all the things I want in the Beaver works, but the GPS, my RXP, Reality XP GPS doesn't work in Explain 12 yet, so it kind of makes it a little bit more difficult for me to start flying it. Yeah, the Beaver has been out, the rep has been out for the Beaver since maybe a month or so after the Beaver was released. But I'm guessing that VFox is referring to Explain 12.
Ready for 105, left turn at the end will be Charlie, and you can stay in the ramp. Good day.
Okay, gonna switch off center. Okay, the headwind is back, so that's nice. I have a ground speed of 98. New to you, okay. VFox, do you actually fly the Thranda Beaver? And in which case, are you ready for a challenge? Which is what the rep package will bring for you. Yeah, not okay. Well, that's what you're watching here. This is the Reality Expansion Pack Beaver. So it will. Yeah, I flew. I was basically second one purchaser of the Thranda Beaver. I bought it the second it came out, and flew the heck out of it without the Reality Expansion Pack. But I knew it would come, and it was difficult to land with the Thranda version.
Destination A1 is 118.0.
But it was easier to operate because it's kind of, yeah, it's basically vanilla. And then the rep package came out, which changes the ground behavior of the plane, plus a billion other things. And also it introduces a very interesting carburetor to the plane. It doesn't have the standard mixture settings. You have this Bendix Bergstrom carburetor. Very good, VFox. Welcome to the club. We are all Beaver pilots around here in the chat, I think. Unless there are lurkers who are not. In which case, sound off. I want to hear from you and hear why you're not flying the Beaver. But it's more difficult to land and ground operate with, but it feels like it's more consistent. So you have something to work with, and it's the difficulty is part of the fun for me. A lot of fun. But I'm 700 hours into this plane, and I'm still learning. That being said, I haven't, since I started streaming Flight Simulator, or rather X-Plane, I haven't ground looped it. So Thomas is, I think he's watching me stream just because he wants to see me ground loop it. I've done other things though, like almost died in mountain, but not ground looped, not yet. Ground loop pending, yeah. It's always pending, but it has been curiously absent for several weeks now. But then again, I have a 10 knot gusting 19 slight crosswind at Mammoth. So there's that. But I have a 7,000 feet runway, so I should be able to kind of correct it at some point. No, VFox, I didn't. I was not able to. I completely forgot. Let's see here. For those of you who are watching and curious to see where I am, I'm northwest of Bishop Airport, Kilo Bravo India Hotel, passing some power plants, apparently. Maybe they're in the canyon. I think they actually are. Well, in which case I cannot see them. Oof, Thomas, that's the one that looks like a bee, right? And I'm approaching Mammoth Yosemite, Kilo Mike Hotel from the southeast. I'm going to pass over Lake Crowley, which I'm guessing is going to be this little thing here. And Mammoth Yosemite should be up here somewhere, I think. Yeah, it's slightly higher up than this lake, so it might just be just around the corner here. Weather is clearing up in Seattle. SHN. Is that Sanderson? Correct, yeah. There are so many cool airports just right in that area. Of course, airports that you probably want to have fully operating Beaver. So I think Sanderson is a very clever place to go. Very a safe bet, basically. I kind of... some of these airports I have very good memories of, very fond memories of, because when I grew up with Flight Unlimited 2 and Flight Unlimited 3, and in this case Flight Unlimited 3, it's kind of a very, very narrow flight simulator that was situated in the Seattle area. Sanderson was one of the airports that I flew into a lot. And to the northeast of Sanderson is a place called Bremerton National. Very, very long runway. Just across the bay from SeaTac. Spent a lot of time around that area. And I flew into Painfield a lot, and Arlington. I don't think that simulator actually covered the area all the way up to Orcas Island. But it did cover Ranger Creek, which is why that airport is one of my favorite airports. It's just such a gorgeous area. think I can actually see... Yeah, I have the beacon of Mammoth straight ahead. So I'm gonna call up CTAF. Mammoth traffic, Beaver 524 Alpha is 10 miles east at 11,000 feet, descending inbound to land, full stop, runway 27. Mammoth. Let's set this one for runway heading. What was the winds again? 250 at 10. Just, oh, good grief. Okay, so Thomas, here it is. Updated the winds 9 minutes ago. 250 at 10, gusting 25. So it's windy up here. It's gonna get worse when I get down. So 25. It's not that much. It's 20 degrees crossing, but still, with that gusting, it's gonna be interesting. 3006. I already set that. Temperature 13. Gust. Dew point -20. Density altitude is 8,400, so it's 1,500 feet above field elevation. Yeah, you'll clip it. Well, to be sure, I will definitely make a clip of it myself if ground loops. Don't worry about it. I won't hide it. I can stand for my ground loops. I mean, if there was one ground loop I would have loved to have a picture of or a video of is the dual ground loop I had with Garrett at Colorado Springs Airport. That was in 2021. We were coming back from Oshkosh, and we flew into Colorado Springs as a flight of 2. And we had a dual ground loop at the exact same spot with the controller was laughing at us, which of course is what you do as a controller. So that was neat. Okay, so wind is coming from the left, so I need to be ready to push right rudder to get the tail into the wind, and left. What am I saying? Yes. Right. Rudder. Left. And run. I should be high enough at least. I should be able to get down here. Mammoth traffic, Beaver 524 Alpha, 5 miles final, runway 27, full stop. Mammoth. Yeah, that landing was hysterical. We both... It was a crosswind at Colorado Springs Airport, and we have pictures of the Volanta ground track. We both went out into the... went far out of the runway. It was really, really hysterical. Both went at the same spot and the same direction and the same fashion. It was almost like a ballet. Beautiful. Don't feel any wind yet. Feels pretty stable. It was pretty horrific last time I landed here. It's a long time since I was here, but it was also very, very crosswindy. Mammoth traffic, Beaver 4 Alpha, short final, 27, full stop.
1 mile final, runway 27.
Mammoth. Right.
500.
Hello Delta, welcome to the end of the show, where I now have a rising crosswind. You can see that I'm sliding out to my right here. I'm at Mammoth, and Thomas is in the chat waiting for my ground loop, like a vulture circling above a starving child, waiting to pounce. Not sure if vultures pounce, but you know, not going to take completely full flaps. I want to have some... Yeah, exactly, best part. I want to have some more elevator authority, or rather aileron authority, in case I need to make use of that. Yeah, look at the windsock. Bouncy bounce. Oh, seems good. I can live with that. I know it's boring. I aim to displease. No, am I ever going to be able to turn off this runway? It tried, as you know. It always looks like it does. Okay, Alpha Tree. Here we go. Let's see here. Where am I? I am at Mammoth. Mammoth traffic, Beaver 5 to off a clear of 27 to the right. Mammoth. Yeah, saying that the Beaver looks like it was about to go, I realize, of course, that it's almost like saying... yeah, what is it like saying? Yeah, stating the gorily bloody obvious. What's the temp here? 10 degrees. But yeah, Delta, you actually didn't get to the best part. You have to visit the VOD when it gets up, because I landed at... finally, I was able to land at Coyote Flat, which is the, as far as I know, the highest elevation airport in the United States, at basically 10,000 feet. I was there a half an hour ago or so. And it went fine. Even with the high density altitude takeoff. It was actually not too shady. So where do I want to park? Where is the FBO? Hot Creek Aviation coming up. That sounds like a nice place. I want to go to a Hot Creek. I need a massage and a bath. This is it, I guess. Doesn't look quite right. Well, it is, so. So I'm gonna stop here next to this little floating piper. Nah, that's a low wing. And it's not even a piper, it's a, whatever, it's Saratoga or whatever it's called. I can't be bothered to park next to something like that. I want to park next to a high wing. Ooh, I spy a tail dragger. That's what I'm gonna park. So I'm gonna try to spin it around here. Precision ground looping. Let's see how that panned out. I call that good. What is this? It's a Cessna, but what is it? It looks kind of hefty. Is that a real N number? Let me just look it up. November 423 Charlie November. Let's see, what is that? That's a Piper Super Cub, which this isn't. Anyway, I can pretend that I didn't see that. Have a look at this beautiful airport. This is SimCoder airport. So this is the FBO, I take it. Oh, he uses those creepy human figures. There's something off about these people. I mean, don't these things there look like aliens who are kind of dressed very badly in human... they look like basically aliens dressing like humans for Halloween. That's what I'm thinking when I'm seeing these. They're scaring the shit out of people on other planets. There's nothing on them that are proportional. I mean, there's nothing. Those weird shoes with the galoshes. This weird hip thing. Looks like, yeah. This moon face, yeah, it's really weird. Anyway, are there more humans here? Aliens, that is. He looks okay. Anyway, Uncanny Valley. These bulging looking hangars. Now, if I were a commercial airport developer, I would at least make sure that some of these boxes are filled with bodies. It's, you know, you have to have some Easter eggs. In aesthetics, the uncanny valley is an hypothesized relation between an object's degree of resemblance to a human being and the emotional response of the subject. Okay. Well, so I could be used for a study in aesthetics. I always claimed that. So anyway, I'm gonna start shutting down here. So the plane has kind of behaved more or less okay. I don't get the power that I expect from it, but it's at least functional. I'm able to depart from the highest elevation airport in the United States, so it's not monstrous. So, so there's something. It's not broken. But I've verified that it's underpowered with trying to fly Beavers that are not worn out like this one. So I have a good reason to fly to Paintfield to get service, as is Thomas. Thomas, though, of course, has his Beaver is completely broken, so he has more of a reason than I do. Alternator, lights... Fuel, mags, and master. Yes, but it did have a bent prop, so you had to kind of go and straighten it out, and then it apparently worked. But of course, you will, if you look at this, you will see that this panel is much more palatable than this flat, ugly thing that you have. this is just so more visually and more appealing. By the way, a trick when you do that, one of the things that will happen is that the avionics master switch will appear here on the top of the panel. And there is also a sticker that says avionics master. You can move the button, which I have, up here. But the sticker will remain. So what I did was I just went into the panel paint file and kind of deleted it. I kind of yeah, because it's kind of silly to have that radio master decal sitting on here. So that's also something you can do if you want to have that room for gauges. You can also delete this, but I kind of like these. Also, I made my own little placard. Let's see if I can zoom in properly here. So I made a, what is this called? Bronze is the wrong word, but it's, what's that metal? Yeah, never mind. It's brass, that's what it is. And I made some others because Gareth wanted, let's see if I can find it here. For his beaver, he wanted a custom tag like that, but he wanted like a piece of tape with a marker pen written name. So let me see if I can pull it up. It's kind of cool. It was a bit fun making that. Let's see here. Where did I put those? It kind of looks more like a honky-tonk plane if you have it looking like that. Let me see here. I think I know where it is now. Oh, good grief. It's been a long time since I've looked at those files. So pardon me being completely distracted here. Beaver and instruments. Where is it? Maybe I lost it. Probably put it somewhere very clever and I just can't find it. Never mind. It's basically just you know, one of those paper tape that you mask if you're going to paint, and with some handwriting on it. So anyway, walkies. And it's actually quite easy to make those kind of things. So if you want something for your beaver, like a custom plate like that, it's very easy for me to make. So if you just give me an idea of what you want, it's pretty simple. I can do that in a hurry. And as I said, at Painfield there are a bunch of custom gauges waiting for you. And David, if you want to have a session to install custom gauges, I have a bunch of them. And actually, that's one of the things I have that I haven't shown, because I have different types of custom gauges in that. Let's see if I can find it here. Oh, here we have it. That's the that's one I made. That's November 9 or 6 Romeo. That's the name of Gareth's plane. And you can see that the tape is kind of almost getting loose here. What I was saying is that I have created different versions of the this triple gauge here. So let's see if I can find. Yeah, this is the one I use. So with kind of normal numbers written like this. But Gareth, he wanted one with handwritten numbers. So this is the one where someone has just made taken a marker pen and written the numbers in. So I made him one like this, and yeah, and I signed it just for fun. It's not visible in when it's small, but it's kind of a little gag. So if you compare this temperature gauge to the original one, you will see that the original Beaver gauge. See if I can pull it up. It's monstrously out of proportion to what it can and should show, which is why I made that gauge in the first place. Let's see if I can find the original one here. Where is it hiding? There we have it. Okay, so have a look at this. So the stock Beaver temperature gauge shows down to, what is this, 50, 60, 70 degrees minus. Maybe useful, but again, if it's below zero, you kind of know it, you feel it. And the operating range is here. So a slight increase in temperature, you will not see it, because it's just, what is this, 10 degrees of arc in a big circle. And all of that above, if you're above that, you're basically melting the engine. So 150, by that time, yeah, you know there's something wrong. So 180 degrees of arc is from 0 to 100 degrees. So it's that distance. You see how much more finely grained this one is. It's also kind of more easy to see at a glance. You don't need to see the numbers. You can just see, okay, it's green, it's yellow, it's red, it's blue. You can see if the temperature is wrong. And even worse with the oil pressure. 200 psi. By then it's squirting oil all over the place. And the red line is around 100. So that's why this range is 180 degrees as well. And I added a little bit so you can see how much above 100 psi you go. Same with the fuel pressure. This one, the band of the fuel pressure is between 3 psi and 6.5, I think it is. Yeah. Just this little piece here. And all of this is completely useless. And I kind of put it in there so you can see immediately green and non-green. And if you're curious about what this is, that black thing here, that's the place where the needle of the oil temperature is kind of sitting behind that little flap here, and it's coming out here, which you can probably see if I move like this. You can see the needle is coming out here. It's not part of the gauge, it's part of the modeling. So it comes out of that little black band. So I had to make that band bigger because it's in the original gauge it's just covering this little arc here, but in the big one it's much bigger. So anyway, detail things that is kind of fun to nitpick with. Much more useful gauge. You can see immediately. You see from here. You can see immediately if it's green or not. But with the stock one, it's completely useless. But of course, you need to have it visible. If you have it behind the yoke down here somewhere or down here, it's also useless. Anyway, thanks for spending some time with me rambling and wobbling around in the Sierra Nevadas. And good luck with the continued flight of the Beaver and the group flight this coming weekend. I'm sad to miss it, but I'll probably join the next one if it's in the Seattle area. So thanks for watching, and see you on the other side.